All right, we're resuming the current broadcast. It works for me. All right, so this threaded end right here is where you screw a needle. So what's the needles? The needle is that guy right there. So you screw that onto the orange thing, which is already inside the black thing. So there's silver and the blue pen. So here's the Nordisk. Just so you got pen fill is the cartridge with the insulin in it. So you basically put that in the pen and leave it there. And you screw needles on it when you're ready to give yourself a little prick. And no, it's taken me a while to figure this out. So here's Novo Fine Plus. So the plus is the shape of the end of the thing that screws on, and it's flush. So the needle comes out of a flush area. Oops. So basically, what you do is you dial in. You want to take 2 units. You screw on this needle, and you stick it in your belly fat, and you push the little plunger thing, and that's how you take your insulin. It's a 3 milliliter canister. That's about big. Slides in Noble pen. So it holds. It's 100 units per milliliter, and it holds 3 milliliters. So you're in for 300 units. So if you're going to take 2 or 3 milliliter or 2 or 3 units worth of injection, it takes, that would be good for more than a month, more than 2 months worth of insulin in each cartridge. And you keep it all refrigerated. Now this guy, it's taken me, 6 hours to figure this out. So this whole thing is a box, and it holds 5 of these insulin pen dispenser things. They call it Nova Rapid Flex Pen. So you pull, so you pull the. So that's the push button, but you don't push. Yeah. So you pull out the black, you dial in how many units you need, and that depends on what you're going to eat. Now I have a continuous CGM, they call it, continuous glucose monitoring, where every 10 minutes, I think, uh, it creates it sends a signal to my iPhone here and tells me what my blood sugar is. Yeah, turn down. So you can see it on my iPhone. Now, it just so happens that I have see, here it is on my iPad. And can't, this doesn't expando. So I'm at 199 and it's coming down off of 220. So when I have a cup of coffee with a little honey in it, which is about a tablespoon of honey, and 4 oatmeal cookies, whoosh, my blood sugar shoots up to 220. So what the idea is, so this is at 9 something, 920. So the idea is it takes a while to get there, not long. Here's 8:45, 8:50. So at 8:50, I started eating or drinking the honey and the coffee. So, you give yourself 2 units of insulin so that when the glucose starts overloading your system, I've already got the insulin in there to offset it. And that frees up so the energy goes into your bloodstream, basically. Now, your pancreas is supposed to do that. But it was, you get, to in your 70s, your pancreas doesn't work quite as good as it used to. Anyway, so you dial up that thing to 2, you pull the top off the pen, you screw on your sterile needle, single use needle, and then you stick it in your belly fat and push the little orange button, and that puts the insulin in your fat in your fatty tissue. Now the needle is a gauge 32 gauge needle, which is the diameter of 2 human hairs. So it's very thin. So it's so thin you really don't feel it. Um, when I checked myself in the hospital a couple months ago because of bronchitis, they were managing my blood sugar every couple, every 4 hours. So if they see my blood sugar is up, like 250 or whatever, because I just had lunch or dinner, they'd give me a couple of units of insulin. And he told me, he says, this is a 30 gauge needle. And I couldn't feel it. I swear to God, I was watching them, expecting to feel it, did not feel it, you know. So now the reason why they don't make all needles that thin, meaning like when you go in for a flu shot or, they're using smaller gauge, the smaller the number, the thicker the needle. And they use a thicker needle because, they don't want them to bend because then they have to throw them away and pull out another one. So these ultrafine needles, these 32 gauge, they do make a 33 gauge, but I've only seen that in one. You have to be able to get these materials, because you got to get the pen, you got to get the needle, you got to get the insulin. I mean, it's a rat race. But see, then this thing, they've kind of taken some of the headache out of here because what you do is you buy this carton. It's a carton. It's about this thick and about this big, and it holds 5 of these. So you keep them in the refrigerator, and so you take it out, shake it up just a little tiny bit because you don't really have to shake it up, and you screw on the needle, which that is there. You see how there's a picture of the box, 32 gauge, 4 millimeter. Now this 25.4 millimeters in an inch. So 25. If you divide 4 into 25, six, it's about a sixth of an inch, whatever that is. So a quarter of an inch is too much. The thickness of this pen is 1/4 of an inch. 4 of these pens makes an inch. So the length of this needle is less than the thickness of this pen. So, hold that up to your body. So the Novo Fine Plus, 32 gauge, 4 millimeter. That's what I want the pharmacy to order up. So they order from their pharmaceutical supply. This is readily available. And so here's a picture of what. So here you have the Novo pen, Novo Rapid Flex pen cap that pulls off, and it exposes the cartridge, which is built into the pen. You don't replace that. And then here's the pointer and the blue cap, your dose selector. It goes up to like 16 units. I'm like a little baby. I use like 2. Yes. So here's the needles, because it's sterile. So it's contained in this container. That goes on there, and this goes in there, and this piece of paper goes on that. You can squeeze all this together. So you see this needle right here? It's got a little doodad that sticks out, this piece of plastic, and then the needle sticks out on that. So the Plus eliminates this this little this little piece of plastic that protrudes from the back end of this thing that screws onto the insulin. So that other cap, I'll go back. This one right here. You see how this looks? It's flush. There's no piece of plastic coming out and onto which the needle sticks. So you have a flat surface here. So you basically just push that all the way in to the point where you feel this end of the cap hitting your skin. You push the button, you're done. So you don't have to think about how far do you stick it in. You stick it in all the way. And it's only 4 millimeters, so it's the needle is, it's up about that. It's very short, so it's only going through the epidermis and into your fat cells. So your belly fat, your thighs, anywhere. And since the needle is so thin, you don't feel it no matter where you stick it. Now, you don't want to stick it in your eyeball. You'd probably feel that. But on your epidermis, you're not going to feel it. Anyway, so that's the needle to get. And this is so you can, you can either get this refillable, which the caps comes off. Let's look at the piece. There it is. So the reusable pen has, this my actual laptop. It's actually coming through the speakers of the laptop. So, and that's coming into the microphone. You can hear it, but it's not as clear a sound as if you see how clear that is? I'm going to turn my mic off and turn this up. It's really quite beautiful the way the Epidemius sound, and it's got 3 hours worth of play. So anyway, so that is coming right out of my iPhone. All right, so from here we come on, guys. There, okay. So we have to add. Okay, we got me there. See, so I add this. We got it on either side. But we're gonna. I don't want to hold this phone anymore, so we'll get rid of that. And we'll go back to adding. There we go. All right, now we're back to normal. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you the soundboard there. Put my sunglasses up there. So let's. So that's my insulin thingy. And I found a place. I found a company that sells this stuff. I think it's an overseas company, but they pull from local supply companies. So if I get see, there's the Noble Fine pen with the flush surface there. That's the needle to get. It's only 4 millimeters. So if you're still into inches, let's do a little dividing for you. So 25.4 millimeters per inch. Divide that by 4. That's 0.6 inches. No. That can't be 4 millimeters. It's 0.16 inches. 0.16. 0.25 would be a quarter of an inch. That's 0.16. So it's a little more than an eighth of an inch. It's very small. You can see the relative height of that needle on that cap, which is not a big cap. See, flat base technology to improve skin contact. You see, so you just stick it in your skin right up to the point where this flat part fits on your skin. And these guys, I got 25, 30, 40 million people on insulin. And, they have, 10 or 20% market share. I don't know what, depending on what country they're in. Europe, this is a lot more. This Novo line of products is very popular in Europe, Norway, Sweden, Denmark. It's actually invented in Denmark. It's funny, you got exciting, smart people everywhere. Anyway, so I spent a good portion of. So this is a Novo Nordisk savings card. So, I show that to my pharmacist. You just have it on your phone. I don't think you need to print it out. So you got different ways of savings, and you got Good RX. Here's a Good RX, or here's a Novo Pen savings card that has the Good RX codes that they use at your pharmacy. And this is the 5-pen. That's one way of getting it. So I want to talk about all these possibilities with my doctor on Monday afternoon, and hopefully he'll cooperate. So I flashed this up for a second by mistake. See that right there? So Marilyn and I were talking about. Marilyn was, discussing the fact that now we have an outlet that we share with Dr. Brian. He's in apartment 815. We're 812. So we're like 2 units away from him. He's across the hall. So you go across the hall in 1 unit south. We're a little bit north of him. He's a little bit south of me. Anyway, so Dr. Brian paid the cost to the electrician to come out and run a wire down a column where he parks on the second floor. So then if the spot next to him is open and he's not charging, I can plug in with my wires and charge my Tesla. He has a Tesla. I have a Tesla. So Marilyn suggested that, hey, how about if can we run the wire to our parking space or another space that Ann can swap with? We want it. We want to have the column on the left side, on the driver's side of the car. So then we could spend an extra $400. So we pay the electrician, which is a couple $1,000. And then instead of him just putting in an outlet, have him put a Tesla, have him put this thing in. And I'll buy it from Tesla, and the electrician can install it. It just hangs right on, the conduit comes down here, and then we just pull that off and put it in the car. So then I don't have to be messing with wires. And if we leave, we take that with us, because hopefully we'll have another spot. The power requirement is basically like a good dryer outlet. It should be a 50 amp circuit, not a 30 amp circuit. So you don't want 32 amps, you want 50 amp circuit, because it has a 48 amp chargers in the car. So it basically takes 230 volts and converts it to 300 volts and charges a battery in DC. It's not an AC battery, it's a DC battery. So we've got a 48 amp charger in our Tesla. So the circuit that powers this puppy should be, the circuit breaker, it should be a 50 amp circuit breaker, which is like, like a range, like an oven. It's typically a 50 amp service. I'll have to look at my circuit board. See any more. So anyway, so that's my story. So And so let's look at my pictures to see if there's anything else. Also, here's a picture of the Pentagon. So in the budget that Biden just signed, not the budget, but his omnibus waste of money, legislation, within that $1 trillion schedule of payments is a building. This is 1 million square feet. Well, the what do you call it? They want to increase the FBI's. They want a brand new building that's 2 million square feet, which is twice 2 Pentagons. Really? The FBI, they want they're going to fill up 2 million square feet. I mean, the Pentagon is like basically a huge building. These ridges is a row of buildings, and then that's a row of buildings, and that's a row of buildings, and it it goes all the way around, right? In these bigger areas, these are like auditoriums and stuff, big where they can have meetings, big conference rooms, lunch rooms, the garden in the middle. Anyway, when you look at the Pentagon in that kind of a picture, your head of the Department of Defense is right in here. When the plane flew in, crashed in there, he ran around here and was saving people. So it's kind of amazing. Pentagon. When we visit Robin, we come right around this road, right around this way from the airport. Just go that way, this way to the airport, I believe. It's big, very big. So that's why I took that picture out of there, because the FBI wants a building twice the size of the Pentagon, which is kind of like outrageous. We don't want to hire all these people. So we're trying to save money, not spend more. But see, the liberals have weaponized the FBI, so it's become a political tool to prosecute the opposite party. All right, there's your dose selector, your push button, your needles, which screw on that end. Pre-filled pens. Select from 1 to 60 units. 1 unit increments. Yeah, we don't need an 8mm. 4mm is fine. So here's now this is like a picture from my balcony looking out at the arena, which is under construction. Oh, how come we don't see it here? Oops. Sorry. Add that. There we go. So right now, this building on the left side is already built. So now they're building the building on the right and the building in the middle. And from my balcony, I look straight across this way, and I can still see the the hotel through this open area. Can you believe it? we're on level 8 in our building. This is level 7. The top. This is level 7, which, you can see there. When we look straight across this way, and we can see, so we're like over here. We're like opposite this building. And we look straight across that way. That's the line of sight, the way it looks. You wonder why I have that picture there. I was trying to figure out if we're going to get blocked. Because we got married in the Boca Hotel, so this building is like, characteristic of the Boca Hotel. We got married in the gardens right down here at the base of the hotel building. And then we honeymooned over in the, the beach club. They own a whole bunch of beach. I guess it's right over here. This is the side. So we were there 10 days, whatever. So instead of, going to the Bahamas, we just go over to the beach club. And it's a beautiful, we got fried. We were out there one afternoon in the sun and bathing suits and all this kind of stuff. And we were out there too long. And I was this color. I look like your basic lobster. And Marilyn got fried too. She was medium rare. I was rare. I was real red. All right. Well, I've given you a guided tour through my story about insulin, how that works. Let's go here and see what my thing is. Yep, 189. See, it's coming down. Come down. But you take, when your blood sugar goes up, your fingers start to tingle. Your legs, your feet tingle. So this whole blood sugar thing is, I never thought it was blood sugar, but in reading all this stuff about what happens when your blood sugar goes up, number one, it damages your organs, apparently. And when your blood is carrying around that much glucose. So the insulin is naturally created in your pancreas. And if your system is working right, it keeps it right around 100. Well, see, I'm running. See, here's the zone is in the green. So let's see how they have a chart here. Time in range. Whoops. No, you can't see it there. You can just show it here. See, so time in range is 80%. And 20% of the time, I'm above. I'm not below. You take insulin to bring everything in range. So, 1% of the time, I'm over 250. And 19% of the time, I'm over 180 up to 250. So basically, I'm 80% in range and 20% above range. And that's exactly what the insulin's all about. You get up to you get over 200, you give yourself 2 units. So that's the math. It's really quite simple. 200, 2 units. 300, 3 units. And since I have a continuous glucose monitoring device on, it makes it very simple because I can see what my blood sugar is at all times. So it's an ideal combination. And my 6.9, that's the equivalent of the A1C. So my A1C is 6.9. See, average glucose 178, 171. This is hours of the day, 24 hours. It's all 150, 160, 150, 160. So I would be taking between 1 and 2 units of insulin, when you eat meals, basically. So that's what all this graphics shows you. Daily patterns. So this graph shows what you can see here. This is 24 hours, 12 noon to 12 midnight. And you can see when it goes up, with your meals. 3 meals a day, 3 humps. You can see it's over 200. So this shows when it goes over. And this is an average. So it's always up. So and I don't want to take pills to manage my blood sugar because, all right, goodbye. Oh, a gift.